it's the All-Star game, and the dude's trying 110%. Like, you could tell his true passion, his true love for the game. It's really on some like Mamba mentality, like LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, like just fierceness in his game. And then like dude wants to get better each and every day. And he has all the tools in the world, but he still wants to get better, and that, heeds to, in life, you can't be content with being stagnant or being complacent at where you're at. It's always room to get better, always room to work on things.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to ALLSMITH, where we dive deep into mindset, performance, and life beyond the game. Today's guest is someone who knows what it takes to adapt, evolve, and win, both on the court and now in business. Lorne Jackson. He was a standout guard and the captain of Pepperdine University, leaving his mark as a leader and a playmaker. But what's so cool is that his journey didn't just stop there. He's taken that same competitive fire into entrepreneurship and financial coaching, helping athletes and professionals build a game plan for success beyond sports. I'm so excited to have one of my good friends here and reconnect on all things LA City basketball and everything in between. Lorne, welcome to the show, bro.
Man, thank you for having me, man. Let me know how much I owe you on Venmo or whatever. That intro was incredible, man. Come on.
I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And, people say that often, but if you look back, we were talking briefly offline about highlight reels and all these things. And it's like, from that time frame of like 2000 to 2009, there's not a lot of highlight reels. There's not a lot of documentation. There was scout.com, there was Ball is Life, there was
Max
Jack
Preps.
Poland,
Max
Preps. Yep. And a bunch of people that were like trying to capture things in person. But like, I fucking wish we could have documented stuff back then, because it's like there was some fucking hype in LA City basketball, and you were at the center of that, man. Between pump and run, things that you were doing at Simi Valley, and then later at Pepperdine. Like, I'm so excited to like peel back the curtain. Hopefully, people that are listening gain some context on like the dopeness of LA City basketball at that time.
The dopeness, and when we're taking it back to Max Preps, it was the star system. 5 stars was your all world. Drew Holidays, and then you had your 2-star. I think I was like a 2.5, 3-star, something like that. At the time, Paul George was a 2.5, 3-star. Clay was a 2, 3-star. So, but it really just puts into perspective, how much rankings don't mean anything. It's the work you put in. It's how bad you want it. A lot of those kids that were ranked 5 stars back in the day, never even had careers. And then, like the Clays and Pauls, those guys never were expected to do what they've done. And, now they're Hall of Famers. So,
100%. And it also just goes to show exactly what you said. Like, at that time, the 2 number 1 recruits in our 2008 recruiting class, Tyreek Evans, ended up playing at Memphis, made the NBA for a little while, and then phased out. And then, Renardo Sidney ended up getting a full scholarship to Mississippi State and had some disciplinary issues, some issues going on with, at that time, what was described as money laundering, which would have turned into the nil today, which is, in my opinion, quite bullshit. But like Renardo Sidney, man, like that was another big name in our class.
Oh, he was great. I remember we played them at Simi High, second round of playoffs. Him, James Harden, Malik Story. They smacked us, but that dude,
Artesia High School at that time.
At Artesia High School, that dude 6'10" guard, really. Can dribble it, can shoot it, will dunk on you. But I think at that year was the first year that they no longer allowed high school kids to get drafted straight to the NBA. So it's a little wormhole that you do with college and stuff. Obviously, it didn't work out for him, but all the distractions and trouble that a college kid could get into ended up biting him in the butt at the end. Totally,
man. What was the guy's name that I don't know why I'm blanking on it right now. He came out of Westchester, and he was the last pick of the NBA draft. You know who I'm talking about? He was like a couple of years before us.
Amir Johnson?
Johnson.
He wasn't the last pick, though. He was a high pick, I think. But
he was in the 50s.
In the 50s?
Yeah. If we were to look that up, I wish I had like a Jamie, like Joe Rogan. I'd be like, hey, Jamie, look this shit up real quick. But yeah, Amir Johnson ended up having a great career, man. Played for the Celtics for a little while and just was like, contesting shots, getting put back buckets, 6 to 8 rebounds a game. Was a great body to kind of have in there. And I was pumped for him. I could be wrong, But I am going to give a little pushback. I'm pretty sure he was the very last pick of the draft.
Maybe.
Because I remember like following the different like Max Preps forums or Scout.com forums at that time, and people were like talking shit, like, "Oh, this dude should have went to college." Da 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 da. And I'm like, I played against this guy in high school. He was fucking unreal. Between him and Trevor Ariza, it was like their athletic potential was just like something I'd never seen before.
Yeah, and at that time, it's like, do you want to go to college and live on per diem and pretty much be broke? I mean, we were broke in college. Like,
100%.
I remember getting $2,500 for the semester and feeling like I had no care and like I had no worries in the world. $2,500, I'll make that stretch for 6 months.
Yep.
So it's just a choice of, okay, do I want to be struggling or do I want to be a millionaire next year? It makes sense. If you have the opportunity, just go.
Totally, man. And I loved what you said about Klay Thompson and Paul George. Like, I mean, both guys were great role players in high school. I mean, I remember seeing them at different AAU tournaments, different camps, and like, both those guys were like, had moments where you'd be like, oh man, they got a little bit of potential. We didn't really see them like fully flex the way we were seeing like Brandon Jennings and DeMar DeRozan and some of these guys like averaged 30 every single game. Watching those guys evolve and gravitate towards a role, not just in college, but also the NBA was really freaking cool. And at San Diego State, we played against Paul George. He only had 2 points against us.
Oh,
I was like, whoa. Like, because I think he came in averaging, 15 to 20, but our scouting report was really good. And I'll never forget, dude. He caught the ball on the left wing. He did an L cut to the left wing, caught it, ripped middle. And I forgot who the big man was for Gonzaga at that time, but just takes off.
Heifeld, probably.
Yeah, and he just takes off and just smashes on the big man from Gonzaga. And it was SportsCenter's #1. And it just...
Oh, that was St. Mary's.
Oh, yeah, with Patty Mills.
He dunked on Mickey McConnell.
Yeah, and dude,
Yeah.
I remember that being #1 on SportsCenter's top 10. And I was like... my boy. And at that time, like Paul and I were close, and he was like, how's it going at San Diego State? Because we were both trying to go to Pepperdine. But then when Vance Wahlberg,
that's why I committed there, because he told me.
Yeah, and then when Vance Wahlberg's contract didn't get renewed, they didn't even know who I was anymore. They're like, you're some white boy that can shoot the ball sometimes.
Yeah.
And they pulled my scholarship, and I was like, oh, shit, I got to figure this out now. And it was like, okay, I got to look at the other options now. Yeah. And he ends up going to Fresno State, and we were like chatting on Facebook a little bit, kind of like, hey, how are we figuring out this college thing? Like, both of us are skinny as hell and just trying to put on weight in the weight room. Mm-hmm. And, he didn't have great opportunity early on. He was playing with Greg Smith, who later played for the Houston Rockets for a little bit. He played for Pump and Run a little bit too.
Juju.
Yep. And, man, after that dunk, Paul just he was a different guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like his internal song just started to be sang. And that's where I wanted to start the conversation with you, Lorne, is just like, at Simi Valley, you had people that believed in you. As you get older in different ranks, like everybody's good, everybody's athletic, everybody can kind of figure it out. You have to kind of do the little things, especially if you're under 6'5". Mm-hmm. And so, like, what are your thoughts? Like, how was that experience for you personally as you evolved from Simi Valley, where it's like you had the ball in your hands 24/7? You didn't always really trust your teammates. You can make mistakes, turn the ball over, and still, have opportunities. But then you see it with Klay and Paul. It's like they didn't really have the green light early on. They were 2.5-star recruits. They weren't 5-star recruits like some of our friends, but they found a way to make it work. They found their role and then found a spot in the NBA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, what really helped me, back in, I graduated 2008. So from 04 to 08, it was kind of a different time in sports to where there were prep schools kind of on the rise, but, my high school team, your high school team, it's all kids we grew up with. I've known from elementary school, Boys and Girls Club. So, that really made a difference on the court from a team perspective that, we've been around each other for the past 15 years on the court, off the court, just really building that camaraderie. So, when it came time to get on the court, like, it was just natural. We all knew each other's flaws, each other's strengths. So, we really, it's kind of like an iron sharpens iron type of thing, to where, we really all trusted in each other. We all knew our roles. And then, my senior year, we just had like a beautiful year. We went 26-2, choked in the playoffs, but, just playing with guys that, we've known all our lives, that really helped us on the court though.
You get a lot of trust on the court when you're playing fucking Guitar Hero and Mario Kart behind the scenes
Yeah, yeah.
and just talking shit to each other for the
We did a
last
lot of
10 years.
skateboarding and bike riding and stuff like that.
People don't understand that, man. Like a lot of my friends that grew up in the San Fernando Valley, it was very equivalent to like the Sandlot times. Like
Oh
none
yeah.
of us came from money and none of us had pools.
Hmm.
So we were hopping people's fences to cool down because the San Fernando Valley is 115 degrees in the summer,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous. And then it's just like some days you're playing basketball, some days you're playing football, some days you're kicking a
Soccer.
soccer ball, some
You're at
days
the
you're riding a
skateboard.
bike or a razor
Yeah.
scooter or a skateboard. And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, all of our friends actually became really good at basketball because they were tinkering in different planes of motion. They understood flow. It wasn't this like linear all basketball all the time thing. And I really do think it had transferability because of just the variance that we were exposed to at that time.
Hmm. And I was wondering, like, there's something in the water in LA during our time, right? And I thought about, doing a documentary, which I was telling you off air that, we're working on right now. But there was one reason I think that, during that time from the 2000 to 2008, that there were so many great basketball players coming from the city of LA, specifically wing players. What would you think that reason would be? Why do you think that is?
I
What would
mean,
be a
Kobe,
guess?
right?
Huh?
I mean, if you just look at Kobe,
One hundred
everybody
percent.
wanted to be Kobe.
100%. And we saw him multiple times a week. Some people didn't have cable, didn't I
Hmm.
think it was DirecTV was a thing at the time. But you did have your little antenna television. You had channel 0 through 13 and you had KCAL 9, Stu
Hmm.
Lance and I forget the other guy, but and Chick
Yep.
Hearn, you know what I'm saying? So we were
Yep.
watching Kobe, imitating this guy. Obviously we knew about Mike and everything, but Kobe was us. Kobe was somebody we all tried to imitate. And then if you look at the game now and all the players from LA, all wing players, all greats, all Hall of Famers. So
Yeah.
that's definitely
Just to give people context on that too, like you're 100% right. I mean, Chick Hearn made it dope where he was saying silly metaphors that aligned with us. Like the butter's getting hard and the jello's jiggling. Like this game is in the refrigerator. Like things like that were like funny and comedic and like dad jokes before dad jokes became a thing.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, like everybody wanted to play pickup all the time. And then like people started to see a peek behind the curtain of like, oh, like this was also at the development where you started seeing trainers. You started seeing people bring in like, oh, we're going to go run the Santa Monica stairs. We're going to do the sand dunes down in Manhattan Beach, which I've puked numerous times. And then also it was getting in the gym between like Loyola Marymount, trying to get in at Pepperdine, trying to get in at some of the different gyms in Santa Monica, or just trying your best to get into some of the local high school gyms. You're doing dribbling drills. You're doing conditioning drills. You're bringing in weights into the gym and doing jump squats and things. And everybody's just trying to get that extra edge. I mean, there was numerous times. I just remember running the sand dunes with Russell Westbrook and Baron Davis. I remember doing different drills with Drew and Justin Holiday, getting my ass kicked by Dallas, our good friend,
Yeah.
who now, co-pilots the Paul George podcast, which is cool. Larry and I just have too many experiences at the Santa Monica Stairs, just puking our guts out and just like trying to just get that extra edge, and then getting into the gym afterwards where we had no legs and it was all just like mindset and ego, just talking shit to each other. Like, I'm gonna make more shots than you. I'm gonna put you on freaking ice skates, bro. And it's like, I don't know, like all of us just seemingly leveled up by exposure to an environment of people that just seemingly wanted to get better and had this psychological perception of exactly that, Mr. Kobe Bean Bryant.
No, definitely. And, I think a lot that had to do with it too is we all, motivated each other to be better. Larry, we would all text each other, oh, you going to the gym tonight? Oh yeah, let's go. I'll meet you there, this and that. And, it was just a time, man, where, we were all so very talented, but like you said, we all wanted that edge over one another. So, it was just a passion to get better and to not stop. And, if you look at, all of us, all the guys that we played with, we all went somewhere, had, pretty good careers. Some guys made it to the league and some guys made it overseas. But, it was a time where, basketball, I think in the city of LA and California for real, was at its peak.
And it was so special, man, because it was like we each had different roles on our high school teams. Then that would kind of come together on different AAU teams. But it was just like in my brain, I was like, well, I'm never really gonna have the handle like Larry.
Or Drew.
I could probably shoot the ball. Yeah, Drew was incredible, and Drew's
Shot it with the
defense
best
was
of them, though, I'm not
incredible,
gonna lie.
man.
Yeah.
one of the best defenders I've ever played against. Between him and Kawhi, it was like, man, I think those were my most trash high school games when I had those guys poking me in the stomach every time I got a shot off.
Yeah.
Those guys were unreal. And just like, I don't know, later on trying to go to like UCLA camps and you're playing against like Russell Westbrook and Darren Collison, you're like, oh, there's another level to the game of like defensive denial and like on-ball defense. And I don't know, in my brain, I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to like get up above the rim and dunk on people, but fuck, I can take some great charges. I can play some great help side defense. I can talk better than everybody else. And it's like our crew at that time, just like everybody wanted to level up, man. Mm-hmm. And like if you take that same psychology into the transferable skills in life after basketball, it's like, man, like if we all did a better job of communicating now, because we're all fucking busy. So many of our friends have kids. They're traveling. They're all over the globe now. But like, man, there's something to just that level of competitiveness and competition where it's just like, oh, you got better? You're dunking now in 7th grade? Oh, cool. I'm going to figure out how to dunk now, too. I'm going to get in the sand. I'm going to start doing my calf raises, whatever the things are. I mean, we all remember wearing jump soles to school and hoping and praying we could jump like DeMar.
Oh, yeah.
What I wanted to ask you, dude, who is the best player, in your opinion, that you ever played against?
I get asked this question all the time, and it's the same answer. We've already talked about him, Drew Holiday, man. You know, from just both ends on the floor, you know, he'll give you 40 or 50. I'm talking about in high school. Right now, you know, he's still great, but, you know, people don't really get to see the true sauce of Drew. You know, like I said, he'll give you 30, 40, but then, you know, you'll be in the best player on the opposing team, like myself or anybody else. You know, you can average 20, but you play against Drew, you're getting half that. You're getting 8 points. And it's all to his discretion, you know, how much he wants to let you get off. You know, I played against him. Only time our high school teams played against each other, it was a summer league game. Played at like St. Francis or like, I don't know, Alameda or some school like that. And dude was playing like it was like a real like playoff CIF game. I'm like, Drew, like, and we were boys at the time, like, bro, you gotta chill out, man. This is just summer league. You know what I'm saying? But then not only that, you know, on both ends of the floor, you know, a lot of people don't know that Drew is ambidextrous. So you know, he come dribble,
the left right, baby,
with left hand layup, right hand layup, pull up with a left hand jump shot, right hand jump shot. Like I'd never seen anything like that at the time, and I was just
me neither.
This guy, I was like, you know, that was the first time I met someone, and I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be in the NBA. Like I didn't know what the NBA looked like from my peers' perspective. Obviously, Paul's and Clay's, everybody was good, even Brandon Jennings, but you know, Drew was just on another level on both ends of the floor. He still knew his role, but he was that guy, and he was humble. He was so kind. He was such a nice guy, but like his work ethic was like no other.
Yeah, totally. I definitely align with that. He also had a physicality. He had some muscle mass at a young age, which you know, we were skin and bones, just trying to like keep body fat off and keep our conditioning cooking. And Drew definitely was like just on another level. And it was interesting because it was like Justin was bigger and longer, but like just didn't have the same physicality, didn't have the same intensity defensively. But Justin also has had an incredible NBA career, and I'm stoked for both those guys and excited to be able to call them friends. Yeah, seriously. I don't have a relationship with the youngest, but he's dope.
People talk about the Ball brothers, you know what I'm saying, and how good their dad LeVar did. But, you know, shout out to the Holiday's dad. I forget his name, but, you know, what a great job they did raising their sons. You know, 3 kids going to the NBA. That's unheard of. And having long careers. Justin played for over 10 years. Drew's obviously been in over 10 years. Aaron's been, 5 years now? Probably going to go over 10 years. That's just a beautiful story of, you know, some kids from the Valley.
And people don't realize that, man. Like, longevity's huge. I mean, we'll get into the conversation later about LeBron, but it's like, it's not just your capacity and your ability to do it. It's the willingness. Like, if you asked me right now, like, I just don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. Like there's no fucks are given anymore as far as wanting to go crush myself for 4 hours at LMU and get into the sand dune. Like, that box has been checked, and now it's like I want to play with cerebral fitness and connect with ideas and business, and like still want to play and get after it in the gym, but it's definitely shifted. And the fact that these guys still want to do it, and JJ Redick was talking last night about LeBron. He's like, the ability for this dude at 40 years old to get up and do it, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. It's like not just a high level, but also just like the scrutiny. Right? Like all the allegations with the P. Diddy stuff. Nothing's like a P. Diddy party, like that stuff. And then you've got like the pushback as far as Bronny. And then you've got all the things with like trying to GM and trying to recruit Luka, trying to recruit bigs, or trying to do certain things. Like, that dude is constantly poked in pride. And, like, we can get into the Jordan, LeBron, Kobe debate. But at the end of the day, like, no disrespect to Jordan or Kobe, but it's like they weren't on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 17 years old. Like, they weren't, like, with a magnifying glass on them during a social media culture. And, I have no idea if those things would have impacted the super strong mindsets of Kobe or Jordan, but just like, man, it's just a different age. Like, I don't necessarily that's better, same, or worse. It's just cool to see it being paid forward. And yeah, man, I'm excited for the NBA again because I know ratings were falling off, and all of a sudden you saw that Luka trade right around the Super Bowl and just everything kind of took off, and now it's all everybody wants to talk about.
Yeah, I didn't even think it was real. But yeah, I actually went out to Dallas 2 weeks ago. It was Clay's birthday, and it was AD's first game. And just seeing, talking with the guys, Kyrie and everybody, everyone's excited because I mean, obviously their window's not as deep as the Lakers is, but these next 2 years with a healthy AD, let's hope for that. But it's scary, and I'm just excited for my boy Clay, for a chance to be able to get at least another ring, maybe two. I mean, if they stay together. But
Totally.
but no, the trade was crazy. I like it for Lakers long term. So yes, it's an exciting time for basketball. Definitely shifting to the new era, because LeBron, KD, Steph's, Clay's. I mean, how many more years do we have of them? 2, maybe 3. But then after that, then it's like whose league? I mean, I think it's going to be Wembanyama's league, but it's going to be
after these challenges with the blood clots just recently, and him ending his season. So I mean, maybe it's a Chris Bosh situation. Unfortunately, I hope he gets healthy and can work it out because there's so much freaking talent in that body and that mind.
San Antonio, they could have made it to the finals this year. You never know. Like, they're ready to win now, especially with De'Aaron Fox coming over. That's scary from a player in his first 2 years to make such a huge impact on the game. My goodness.
And as for someone like that to come over, and Greg Popovich to kind of be so in arms over him of like, hey, this guy works hard. He doesn't have a huge ego. He just comes in and works and wants to get better. That's a pretty cool recipe for future evolution. The Trident family taught me something really important this last year, that we are all a bundle of stories, both good, bad, and everything in between. All of their cold brews remind their customers that they are part of something bigger than themselves. I start my day with the Sweet Cream Cold Brew as I am prepping my mind and body for fitness, service, coaching, and podcasting. With various locations in San Diego, they offer over 14 nitro cold brews and a variety of specialty drinks. You can find the perfect brew and pair it with one of their treats from the Keto Bakery. You can check them out over at tridentcoffee.com and use code ALLSMITH to take your coffee experience to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, it's taking it back to like the old school, like our days, and Wembanyama, he can do everything everybody else is doing, but he doesn't do it for the social media. He doesn't do it for the clout. It's the All-Star game, and the dude's trying 110%. Like you could tell his true passion, his true love for the game. It's really on some like Mamba mentality, like LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, like just fierceness in his game, and then like dude wants to get better each and every day, and he has all the tools in the world, but he still wants to get better, and that heeds to in life. You can't be content with being stagnant or being complacent at where you're at. It's always room to get better, always room to work on things.
100%. When you look at the NBA now, Lorne, I mean, I think that most people don't have total context, and they're basically saying like, ratings are down. LeBron didn't play in the All-Star game. Everybody's got load management with Joel Embiid. Paul seems to be injured quite a bit, this, that, and the other. And everybody wants to throw shade. But if I zoom out and I observe just kind of the situation, everything changed with Isaiah Thomas in Boston. When he had that hip injury and he came in averaging 28.9 points a game and then hit that hip injury, tried to come back in the playoffs. No disrespect to him. I'm a huge Isaiah Thomas fan, especially since he played at South Kent with our boy Calvin Haynes, who was starting shooting guard over me my first couple of years at Taft. Shout out to Calvin. Hopefully you'll listen to this. But like, all of a sudden this dude's eligible for a supermax contract. But because, he's 5'8", not playing above the rim at that time, like the Derrick Roses and the John Walls and the Russells, all of a sudden that contract is like, whoa, we're not going to bring him back. Danny Ainge lets him go. And it's like, okay, I understand. You can justify it at that time. Oh, this is a business decision. He's a below the rim player. He needs that first step. He needs his quickness to get that floater off, to get that separation, to get the three off. Like, who knows if it was a Jeremy Lin season or not. But at the end of the day, the dude averaged 28.9 points a game. I don't give a fuck who you are. That's impressive.
No, very much. Yeah.
To not offer a max contract because he tried to come back with a Mamba mentality and a Jordan-like mentality because he loved the game, and then it fucked his career. That's legacy wealth that could have impacted the rest of his life and his family and everybody in between. Based on the love of the game, that was a horrible business decision. And then we saw everything happen with Kawhi's quad. He's like, well, why would I come back if I can't be 100%? He's getting scrutinized by the media between Toronto and San Antonio at the time. Now, obviously, with the Clippers. But it's like, if you're going to jeopardize these guys' ability to make money, we can all stand on our high horse and, have our perception and compare and contrast against other athletes. But it's like, if you, not necessarily you, but like you guys listening, if you had a job opportunity for a supermax contract for hundreds of millions of dollars, you're probably going to play your cards right based on the advice of your agents and your people within your circle to get that contract. You're not just going to be like, oh, I love the game, I'm going to go do the thing. And so, like, that's where I feel like it all changed, where the players were like, you know what? They're treating us like business, so we're going to treat them like business back. And we're going to make the right decision to protect our bodies and our minds so that way we can get that contract based on statistical analysis and based on potential, really. What are your thoughts on all that?
I mean, I love it. I mean, like you said, players have been getting slighted, all our lives in the NBA. So, them taking the power back and, yeah, they're getting scrutinized for it, but, they know what's best for them. If they're hurt, what I'm saying? Why would I risk tearing my Achilles? Why would I risk, further injuring myself or, for a team really that doesn't really care about me, doesn't really care about my family. I'm not speaking about every owner, but, you can see it with a lot of guys like Dennis Schroeder's or like guys like that. Guys are just journeymen getting traded, just like nothing. So seeing the players take their power back, I'm all for it. And I mean, yeah, I mean it's time for things to change in the league, and owners not to just treat players just like they could do whatever they want with them, and players have no say. It's a different time and age in 2025.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because like you and I having a peek behind the curtain, and these being some of our friends, we humanize these people. Like, oh wow, like now they're gonna have to shift their families. Their kids are gonna have to go to different schools.
Huge.
Like they're gonna have to be away from their wives. Like those are big decisions versus the modern day fan loves to use the justifiability of like, oh, they're getting paid so much money. Who cares what it does to them? It's like, money's money. It's going to come and go. Like, obviously we'd all love to have millions like NBA players, but like at the end of the day, like they're still fucking humans, man. And like people don't understand too, like, yeah, you're getting paid a lot of money, but it's with expectations, navigating time changes. You're constantly on an airplane traveling to and from different places. And it's like, oh, you have to hop off a flight. Now all of a sudden you got to go dunk a basketball and make threes nonstop when your joints hurt from being in the air for 5-6 hours after playing a back-to-back. You're not really getting food the way you want. Your wife needs you because the kids are crying at home. Like you're trying to figure out how to pay bills, like all these different things, just like all of us. But for whatever reason, the world views it as like, oh, they're professional basketball players. That's why they're paid so much money. It's like, yeah, I get it. That's fair. But it's also like, give a little bit of grace to recognize that, like, as humans, we're not fucking iPhones. You can't just like plug them in and then they get to a full battery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and let alone, all the scrutiny some of these guys go through. You don't know what's really going on in the mental of these guys. Yeah, they get paid a lot of money, but money's just money at the end of the day. Like you said, they are real people. They do have to deal with some of the same issues that we deal with. So just dealing with them with grace. And we happen to see it on the other side because we do have personal relationships. We do know, the families and these guys on a human level, not just, a celebrity or athlete level. And, people are going through, friends and family members dying, and then, they have to play the next day. And not only just play and be on the court, but perform, drop double doubles and this and that. And, it's hard for, just a regular person to deal with adversity, but to deal with adversity and, go perform on a high level through sport is tough. I remember going through college and, people thinking that, us college athletes have it easy. Oh, you guys don't even have to pay for college, this and that. Like, you guys have it easy. Da, da, da. But it's like, okay, yeah, we got our college paid for, but, we're having to do the same classes you guys are in. We're having to take the same exams, same presentations you guys are doing. But we're in class half the time. Like, we're having to study on the road. We're having to study on the bus, on the airplane. We're missing class, and so we have to get caught up. And then not only that, we have practice at 5:30 a.m. Not even practice. We have weightlifting, 5:30 to 7, hour and a half. Go to 2 morning classes, grab lunch, got practice in the nighttime, go back to a night class. So it's like, we had to go through so much to make it to where we are. So it's like fast forwarding to, life. I'm not gonna say life is easy, but it's like, we were given the tools from early on through sports and having to, balance sport and life, that it's like, we know how to juggle multiple things at once and just deal through adversity and yeah.
No, that's very well said, man. And you didn't even mention study hall. You didn't even mention watching film sessions. I mean, now, especially referencing like Johnny Manziel, when he transitioned from Texas A&M to the NFL, it's like there's now monitors on your iPads to see how much you're spending time watching film. And so it's like you might have a night where you're like, you know what, I'm fucking burnt out. Like, I've gone to 3 different classes. We had a 4-hour practice. Then I had a meeting with the coach. Then I was, in the weight room. Then I was in rehab and prehab. Totally. Rehab, prehab. You're in a cold tub. Like, all these things take time. And then it's like, oh, yeah, you're supposed to put in game film too. And it's like, dude, when am I supposed to sleep? When am I supposed to have a social life? No wonder he wanted an altered state of consciousness and leaned into some drugs and alcohol to get a little separation, because just trying to get his mind right. And if his mind right and if his stress levels are low, I mean, you're getting a Heisman Trophy performance. So it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
It's funny, man. Before we dive into your story a little bit, man, I'm curious, what the fuck happened with this Luka trade? We didn't think it was real, and then it was real. You have a little peek behind the curtain like I do on certain things. I'm sure Clay has his thoughts, and, just what are your thoughts personally on what happened there? Because that's potentially the biggest trade in NBA history.
I mean, at first I was shocked like everybody. I mean, I remember the other week hitting like refresh on the ESPN like 2-3 times. Like, yo, it's not April, but this is an April Fool's joke. Like, no way did they just trade
Luka said the same thing.
Straight up like that, But then after talking to some people and actually like being in Dallas, like it's a lot of things behind the surface that obviously I won't go into detail about. But Luka, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but like you said, basketball is a business, and there's things that when you invest $300-400 million into somebody, and they don't watch their diet, they're not in the weight room. I'm not saying he's not in the weight room, but like but it's like you're an investment at this point. Basketball is a business, and so if the management doesn't believe that they want to give you that money and be locked in with you, and you really take your job seriously. Obviously, he's not from here, and they. The Europeans kind of take things a little bit differently, but, I started to understand it more being around the GMs and of Dallas and everything like that the weekend that I was there. So, I mean, I started to understand it more, and, the players on the team, they're going with what the GM is doing. They're going with Rico, I forget his name.
Nico
they
Harrison,
believe in him,
yeah.
and they believe in the move that they made. And it's unfortunate that Luka's gone, but they got to keep moving forward. And they got a great team right now, and the Lakers got a great team. But so it works out.
I'm excited to hear what's to come, because I'll play both sides of the coin. I mean, I'm in the health and fitness industry, so it's like I totally understand the concept of like quality food, quality morning routine, get your sleep, take care of your body, take care of your mind. But I also have to look at like statistics and historical reference. And I'm like, fuck, this dude last year played over 100 games that were over 40 minutes a game. Clearly, whatever he's doing with diet is working. And it's like, I'm not saying it's the best choices, and I'm sure there's perception and there's behind the scenes that I'm not seeing. But it's also like, I love AD. But from what I understand, from what I'm hearing, he's drinking a little bit too much to manage anxiety. From a statistical analysis, he's injured a lot. You know, whether that's people fouling him hard or him taking a hard fall. I mean, he's incredibly productive. Both players are all NBA. But as far as like productivity on the court, not so far, because Luka's not really had extended minutes. He hasn't really found comfort with the pressure yet, especially with
I think he's still in
the
shock
cooking of Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Like, I'd rather have a 25-year-old that's going to play 30 to 40 minutes a game rather than a guy that you're like, man, like this guy's incredible. But you don't really know what you're going to get. You're either going to get a double-double machine or he's going to be injured. And it's like, that's tough. And like, I like the bet by Dallas though, because pairing him with Kyrie could be magic, and I could be totally wrong and be sitting here eating my words.
They got all the pieces right now. But then
They
also,
do.
you know, it's twofold. You know, it sounds like you're a Laker fan.
A little bit. I mean, I'm from LA. You know, I can't help but root for, you know, my guy Austin Reeves. He reminds me of like a better version of me.
Yeah, I mean, I always got love for the Lakers. But you know, I'm where my guys go. But
Totally.
it's a little twofold though, you know, because now Luka is in the same locker room with LeBron. So you know, LeBron's been playing what 20 some years now, and so now Luka can see firsthand what it takes to really, you know, be great on a totally different level. Like, yeah, we know he's great, but you know, you got to play games. You got to make it to obviously he made it to the finals last year, but you know what it takes to really make it to play up until what is it, May or June, whatever it is. You know, it's more than just getting sleep and just going to the gym. You know, you got to eat right, you got to stretch, you got to work out different ligaments and stuff like that. So you know, hopefully it works out better for Luka. You know, because you know he'll be with LeBron for the next couple of years, hopefully.
I'm excited for that, man, because LeBron's also mastered the art of conditioning at low impact, right? Like you can only run so many suicides, so many stairs, so many sand dunes where it starts to eat up at your joints, especially in season when you're playing that many minutes. And you can only tape your ankles so many times, take Toradol, take NSAIDs and Advil and ibuprofen. It's like at some point, like you got to get some regeneration, whether that's a hyperbaric chamber, acupuncture, different forms of healing modalities, PRP on different joint structures. And then obviously the integration of like rowing machines, assault bikes, Stairmasters, things where he can like, you know, shed some weight, still get some optimal blood flow, but not beat the hell out of his joints. And so I'm excited for that, man. I think it's a really controversial thing. I'll also say this, Lorne, just behind the scenes, because I'm like a little conspiracy guy. I think, I don't know, a few months ago, LeBron said, hey, when I retire, I want to own a team in Las Vegas. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then I looked into it and I was like, oh, the owners from the Mavs are now residents of Las Vegas. They tried to put a casino associated with the Mavs arena. It didn't really work out. So in my brain, like when you think back to the Seattle Supersonics and when they moved to Oklahoma City, what'd they do? They traded, you know, Gary Payton and everybody at that time, obviously to the Heat. There was a whole thing. They started to tank a little bit. Then they had a little bit of an uprise and excitement with the signing of Russell Westbrook and KD. But the team wasn't really getting a lot of love in Seattle. And so because it wasn't monetizing, they ended up moving the team from Seattle to Oklahoma City. I have a little behind the scenes thought that I'm just like, you know what? Maybe they're trying to test the Mavs a little bit and see what's going to happen. You saw the onslaught and the disappointment from all the Mavericks fans that were in love with Luka and wanted to see, you know, him be a Maverick for life. We're seeing like the death threats and the challenges with Nico Harrison, the GM. Yeah. Maybe this is a ploy to bring the Mavs to Vegas and play behind the scenes as far as a business structure. Not to mention the ratings were really down. I'm in alignment with Charles Barkley that I do think the basketball season should start like around Christmas. I think it starts too early in October. It's like junk miles on the body. Yeah, and then it's like you're competing against the NFL and college football. Like you're not going to win that. And so it's like make it a little bit separate. Give these guys some time from October to December to like get in-game shape, come off the offseason a little bit, get their feet right, get their ankles, knees, and hips kind of cooking based on like change of speed, change of direction, closeouts, which you and I both know beat up your body pretty good.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, let's start getting cooking in the new year. And then let's build some momentum into February, March, in the spring. I don't know. That's my behind-the-scenes little conspiracy.
I kind of like your little theory, too, about Dallas. That's interesting, you know?
And I'll also say this. Rob Pelinka was Kobe's agent.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe was with who? Nike. Nico Harrison worked with Nike for how many years? 18 plus years he was with Nike.
Mm-hmm.
Does Nike have a role in this? Because Luka's going to have a signature shoe. He's 25 years old. The dude's moving up in the world. What has a better growth potential? A Nike shoe with Luka Doncic, who's, you know, the European all-world athlete that's doing some amazing things, has a huge smile. He's very likable. He could be the face of the NBA. What's going to sell more shoes, in LA or in Dallas?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. I think there might be a Nike play in there too. And I'm no expert on this stuff. I just kind of trying to observe and pick up some patterns. I'm like, maybe there's something here. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
He makes some valid points.
I don't know. I'm sure I'll get some pushback for that. But last thing before we jump into you, man, is Kyrie the most skilled NBA player of all time?
No, but I think he's top 5, top 3. I think Kobe to me is the most skilled player of all time. Just, but I mean, I don't know. I'm a huge Kyrie fan, so I mean, I wouldn't be mad, you know, if somebody debates that. But I think for me, you know, Kobe, Jordan, and Kyrie. I mean, why not?
Yeah. Would you throw Hakeem Olajuwon and Carmelo into that a little bit?
I definitely would. Yeah. I'm a huge Carmelo fan. Hakeem,
Dude,
I mean,
both those guys, just like Melo and Kobe, specifically in the later stages of their career, like the ability to create space. They could get a shot off at any time with 0 dribbles. That's my one argument against Kyrie, and is just like he's a magician, especially when he gets that ball cooking a little bit. Like he has a counter to the counter to the counter to the counter. And his ability to finish around the basket is just like poetry in motion. Man, same thing with Steph. Steph's up there too.
Yeah. It really kind of not really hurt my feelings, but you know, when I was in Dallas, like I said, I met Kyrie for the first time at Clay's birthday, and super cool, super humble guy. But you know, I always told myself, oh, I didn't make it to the NBA because I'm not tall enough. Kyrie's the same dang height as me. I'm like, we need to go to court, play one-on-one. You'll probably bust me up, but like, you know, we're the same height.
Yeah, totally.
But, yeah. And
that's impressive too.
Yeah.
I mean, you know it, like at that time, like playing in the WCC was no joke. I mean, there was a lot of good competition there. I mean, I know from the Mountain West, like I was so small. Like we had guys that were like 6'6", 230 playing the 2. And I was like, oh, I guess I got to figure out how to play the 1. Yeah. Offensively, I might be able to figure this out, but I can't defend a 1, so I'm screwed. And then, like, looking at Kyrie making that work in the ACC at that time at Duke, some of those point guards were 6'4", 225 pounds, and here he comes in just like poetry in motion at a young age. It was just, I don't know, man. Like, it just shows that you can make it work, but it's very impressive, man.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely, yeah. And then, like you said, the WCC back then was super tough. I mean, we talked about Patty Mills, you know. Outside of Drew, Patty was probably, because I started, shout out to Ryan Holmes, my big brother at Pepperdine. He had got hurt. He had tore LCL my freshman year at Pep. And you had talked about Vance Wahlberg. Vance Wahlberg didn't get a new contract. He actually quit in the middle of the season. So they had I think the assistant coach took over. But then, so what happened with Pepperdine is the guys on the current team, they stopped going to class. They're like, if the coach is going to quit, shoot, we don't got to go to class. We don't got to do all this. So that's why they brought in my class. I think my class was like 9 freshmen, which is unheard of for a basketball program. So I actually started as a true freshman at point guard at Pep, and we started 4 freshmen and 1. Michael Thompson was the only sophomore, only older classman that started. But, you know, Gonzaga at the time, you know, obviously WCC, you got to go through Gonzaga and St. Mary's. The best player I played against was Drew and Patty Mills. Patty Mills, my freshman year, what was that, 2009, when St. Mary's, shout out to my guy Omar Samhan, they made it to the Sweet 16 that year. St. Mary's did. Like that, the WCC at that time, Gonzaga and St. Mary's, man, those were some great teams to play against. We obviously had no chance, but, you know, it was great being on the court with those guys and getting to compete with them.
We played against St. Mary's my freshman year in the NIT. We just missed the tournament, and I was guarding Patty Mills at the end. He ends up going around the back, dribbles off his shoe, and it goes out of bounds. And that was kind of like the final play for him in college before he ended up going to the NBA. And I didn't get to play a ton. I got to play some garbage minutes at the end, but I ended up going out to a bar in LA, and the Spurs were playing the Lakers. And it was him and this really big guy from Brazil, Thiago Splitter, and they were out like grabbing some drinks the night before a playoff game. I think they were up like 3-1 against the Lakers. I ended up seeing him. I had a couple of drinks in me, and I'm like, "You're Patty Mills. Like, I was guarding you your last game in college basketball." He's like, "Who are you?" And I like pulled up the clip and showed him a picture. He was like, "You motherfucker, you ended my college career." And so me and my friends ended up hanging out with him and all the Spurs all that night. And dude, he was so cool. It was just like fun to chop it up. Now he's working with a company that we connect with, LSKD, which is kind of in the fitness space a little bit from Australia, ironically, which is obviously where he's from. But dude, he's really elongated his career. His ability to knock down shots, to be a combo guard like that. And also, dude, he's so small. The ability to defend in the NBA, like, you know, especially in modern day where it's like you're just trying to create every mismatch known to man. Like, for him to make that work as long as he has and stay injury-free, huge kudos to Patty Mills, one of the best ever.
Yeah, shout out to Patty Mills, man. You know, be careful if you run into me and Bryce, because he got a little bit of beef with you. I got a little bit of beef with you. He gave us the largest loss in my basketball career. I mean, you guys would beat us by like 25, 30. I think we lost our teacher by 30. Same area as my freshman year, beat us by 50 fucking points, bro. I never got my ass whooped that bad. Tip off, boom, they're going to run. Next thing I look up, bro, the score is 30-3. And I'm like, where the fuck are these guys?
What happened here?
A bunch of Aussies, and like these dudes are balling. We ended up losing 99-59. They didn't score 100 on us, but 99-59.
Oh my gosh!
And then I think the next day we got back to campus in our locker room. Our coaches posted the score on everyone's lockers all across the gym, just rubbing it in. Man, oh man,
classic college basketball, man. At the time where you weren't allowed to get offended. Everybody was getting grabbed and cussed out.
Man.
And I don't know, to this day and age, I'm really thankful for that, because of the amount of times that I got cussed out by head coach Derek Taylor at Taft, the amount of times I got cussed out at San Diego State and Cal State Northridge. I'm like, you know what? Like, words are just words now. Say what you want, take it or leave it.
Now they're like, oh, you can't cuss at the kids? Shit, fuck that.
Dude, I was getting cussed out, spit all over, all kinds of just like reverse racism, and I deserved all of it.
You're nothing. My coach used to call me a fat boy, all this other shit. Like, man.
Dude, there's some funny stuff.
It made us better, right?
Totally, man. That was fun, man. It was cool going down memory lane a little bit with you and chopping it up. But I do want to bring it back to you. Like, you had an amazing career at CME and then played for the Pump Brothers. I don't know if people listening to this will know what Pump and Run is, but everybody and their mom played for Pump and Run back in the day. Like, the really, really good players in the inner city of LA. It was between them and Southern California All-Stars with Kevin Love, Brandon Jennings. What was the guy's name? O'Keefe, the guy that played at UCLA for a little bit.
James O'Keefe.
Yep. And then they had Chase Bunninger, who played for the Houston Rockets for a little bit, high flyer and volleyball player. Yeah, man, it was pretty cool to observe your career. Like, what was that in retrospect? I mean, you just had your jersey retired at Simi Valley. What was it like to kind of reflect on your career? I mean, you had an amazing career, and, you know, that obviously parlayed into your life now, and obviously the in-between of Pepperdine, like we talked about.
Yeah, I mean, you know, looking back, you know, I definitely had a good career. I know when I got my jersey retired back in November, you know, looking back on stats and like hearing my coaches talk about me, I'm like, wait, I scored 40 points in the game? Like, I don't remember none of that stuff. But, you know, high school, you know, my senior season was just a very special time in my life and my basketball career. You know, the most fun I've had, hands down, playing basketball, and we were very successful. Basketball was fun at that time. You know, once you get into college, it gets a little bit more serious. But, you know, obviously, I love sports as a whole. You know, I grew up playing football, basketball, baseball. I had a decision growing up I was a quarterback on the football team if I wanted to continue playing football or play basketball, which I was a little bit better at. I decided to go with basketball because I didn't want to get hurt. I don't like guys hitting me and stuff like that. But, you know, basketball really took me a lot of places that, you know, I wouldn't imagine. Had a great career at Pepperdine. You know, I had a couple different offers. Funny story. My senior year, once I started playing for the Pumps, I started getting like a little bit more colleges noticing me. I remember being in class one time, I think it was like sixth period, and some coach came. It was at the school Butler at the time, and it was some white guy, young at the time. I remember he pulled me out of class, like, oh yeah, I coach at this school called Butler. You know, we're a pretty cool program, this and that. Never heard of Butler in my life. You know, I'm from LA, this and that. what was the old coach? What was the old coach of the Celtics name? That
Brad
coach that
Stevens.
Brad Stevens. It was Brad Stevens. Pulled me out of class. He said, "Oh yeah, go to Butler. Come to Butler. Like I really want you to come. Like I really want you to be our point guard." I'm like, sounds good. I'll call you. Like appreciate you coming out. End up committing to Pepperdine. Butler makes the national championship that next year. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, that's the Butler he was talking about, you know?
Yep.
But, you know, everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that. You know, my mom asked me all the time, you know, if I would make the same decision over again, would I still choose Pepperdine? And I think I would because, you know, just from the brothers that I met there and that are still my friends for life, you know, Dane Suttles, Michael Thompson, you know,
Dane Subtle from Westchester, man. We played against him quite a bit.
That's my best friend to this day and my college roommate.
Tell him I say hi, man. He was a cool dude.
I will. So, you know, getting to play in Southern California, obviously wanted to go to UCLA or USC, but, you know, had a good career at Pepperdine, you know, enjoyed the campus, beautiful campus and whatnot. And then got to play in the G League for a little bit, played in the NBA Summer League with the Wizards. I think it was Otto Porter's year, so like 2009. And then did my overseas tour like most of us. But, you know, I didn't have to get an actual job till, you know, later in my life, which was nice. You know, basketball paid for my education, you know, let me travel the world, not on my own dime. Everything was taken care of. So, you know, it's really special, you know, being able to, you know, use sport and, you know, let it take you places and just use it as a vehicle to do a lot of great things.
Yeah, man. I was definitely following you and some other guys within our circle and just, I don't know, man, you get to a point in your life after you move on from high school, you're rooting for the boys. And I wanted to see all you guys do well. What was your time in the G League like, and what are your thoughts on Bronny James? Because everybody's giving him scrutiny, but it's like, bro's having some games of 30-plus points, dunking on people, hitting some big shots. And it's like, yeah, he's getting a little bit extra leash, but dude's still producing, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the G League is what it is. It's a tough league to stay in and produce in. You know, you if you're not one of the main guys on the team, you know, you gotta know your role and fit in. When you get your opportunity, you gotta make it worth it. At that
Does it feel a little bit like AAU? Like everybody's kind of out there on their own, just like trying to get that scholarship?
Yeah, it's like AAU, but you know, if you have a couple bad games, they send you home. So it's like, you know, it's kind of the real world hits you. Like I ended up getting cut, unfortunately. But you know, I was kind of in the wrong mentality. I was missing home at the time, and I kind of wanted it to happen, and it ended up happening. So it was definitely kind of very similar to AAU, but I mean, you know, you get cut in an instant. So that's when it's like, oh wow, this is really a job now. Like, you know, if I want to do this, I can't be playing around. You know, I gotta really perform and really come with the right attitude. But shout out to Bronny James though, man. You know, I mean, you know, I'm a fan of his. You know, I didn't believe that he was an NBA player at first. I mean, I still wishy-washy, but you know, dude has a great work ethic, man. You know, his dad is LeBron, so he's gonna get every opportunity in the world. So, you know, I'm not one to hate on young kids. You know, I want kids to be successful and grow the game. So, you know, I wish him the best and hope for a very long, successful career for him.
Totally.
And he's an underdog. I mean, obviously he's got a lot of opportunities, but you know, I think he's like 6'2", really. I mean, you know, a lot of people didn't believe in him. So like, you know, I root for the underdog.
Playing way above the rim too, man. We got to root for those guys that are under 6'5".
I'm always gonna root for the underdogs, man. If people don't think you can do something, go ahead and do it. You know.
Yeah, totally. What was your first experience like with getting cut and managing the element of rejection? Because I know what that was like personally, where it's like, you know, I'd play really well in Vegas in AAU one time, and I'd get, you know, all these different offers, and I'd be like thinking on them, and then the very next week, and I wouldn't play as good, and those offers would get pulled. And like, you know, the management of rejection when you're 17, 18 years old is tough because it creates this intrinsic psychological story of like, oh, people only care about me when I put the ball in the hoop. They don't care about me as a human. They don't care about my help side defense. They don't care how much I talk, how much I have a work ethic. They care about the outcome and the results. And that's a really mature thing, especially as an up-and-coming man. You're just like, whoa, I either get it done or I don't. And if I don't, you're not getting the offer. If you do, okay, maybe some people will give you a seat at the table for a second.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, it was definitely hard because, you know, that was my first gig coming out of Pepperdine, and I got drafted. it wasn't the NBA draft, but you're getting drafted. So
Yeah,
I
it's
went from like
exciting.
it's a very high, and people congratulate me. Oh, congratulations, you got drafted. Da, da, da. And then to getting cut, it's like fuck, like I know that I was good. I know I was really good at basketball, but it's like, damn, I'm not as good as I thought. Like they don't think that I'm as good as, and I knew that I was like just as good as the players on the team. But a lot of those guys were older. A lot of those guys went to Cal's, LSU's. Some guys dropped down from the NBA. So it's like you're here on the court with some of these guys that you've seen on TV and stuff like that, and you're as good as them. But it's like, damn, you get cut, and it's like you really get a large sense of self-doubt. And it's like, man, maybe basketball isn't for me. I don't know what I'm gonna do now. And then going back home and then just waiting for a job. I think I didn't get a job till a year later. And it was just a hard time. Just being a successful athlete. Like it's being really good at sport. We kind of have life laid on a platter for us. We don't really early on. It's 18, 19-year-old when you're playing basketball, whatever sport you're playing. Life kind of comes easy, but then when you go through, that first set of adversity, when it's like, dang, am I not good enough? Or things like that. You really got to like dig in and kind of figure it out on your own. And so that was just a tough time, but I think going through that definitely helped me in life, and I ended up getting jobs and stuff after that, playing wise. But yeah, it was just definitely a tough time.
Yeah, for
And then,
sure,
and then
man.
also too, having life, laid out for us and easy, like I said, you don't really, when you go through situations like that, you don't really know what you're going through. And so, I ended up, falling into a depression, like,
Yeah.
for a little bit of time. And I've never, me, I've always been a happy, bubbly guy and never really, been down and down on myself. So, just dealing with that for the first time was definitely difficult. But, I'm one that's always gonna, no matter what I go through, I'm always gonna get through it, by the grace of God, or whatever the case may be. But that was definitely tough.
I definitely align with that, man. Like I remember ending my college basketball career at Northridge a little bit early. And I was just like, you know what, this isn't for me. This isn't the right fit. Like I'm ready to move on. And went through like, man, what am I going to do next? I was just an intern in the strength and conditioning room and going to school. I wasn't allowed to coach. I was just cleaning up chalk. And I was like, man, from a high school All-American to the guy that just cleans up chalk, like what the fuck happened? And then all of a sudden it's like got an opportunity to go play in like the Say No Classic downtown a couple times, play in the Drew League a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time I was like, you know what? Like I have nothing to lose now. Like I'm just going to play for the love of the game. I'm going to give my best effort. I'm going to knock down shots. I'm going to try to get on the court with the best players. I'm going to do the little things because I'm not going to be tomahawk dunking on people, but I could hit a couple floaters, hit a couple back cuts, get a couple steals, be in the right place at the right time. And all of a sudden got a phone call in the middle of the night with the opportunity to go play in Sweden. And I thought it, similar to what we talked about, Luke, I thought it was an April Fool's joke. I'm like, this is BS. Somebody just like making fun of my college career because it was trash.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the contract came through a couple days later and I was like, whoa, this is real. And I remember leaving school early to go play professionally and like promising my parents, like, yeah, I'm going to finish school when I come back. I think I had like 20 units left or something like that. And while I was gone, I stayed enrolled in one online class at a time just to kind of keep my status as a student athlete so I could still get priority registration. But like, dude, it was just a time where like there was so much uncertainty. And then when you play overseas, as an American, you're expensive because you have to have a work visa. They got to give you a place to live. You got to get food per diem. And because of that, it's like you got to produce. Dude, I had some awesome games, and then I had some terrible games. And I remember after the terrible games, it's like, please don't send me home. Like, I'm trying to stay here. Like, you could be cut at any moment. And, there's injuries, and there's not really a training staff like we're used to, the spoiled nature in college. It's like tape your own ankle, go to CVS, and bury your ankle in ice and Advil, and it's like go figure it out the next day. And like I don't know, you learn a lot about just the concept of like figure it out, get the job done. Nobody loves you, nobody cares, just go get it done. And it sucks, but it also like calluses you and teaches you a lot about the human experience. What was your overseas experience like, and how did the opportunity come to be? Free is the way to be. Life beats us up a bit and causes some bumps and bruises, but that doesn't mean we have to stay on the sidelines. This is why we've partnered with Kinnean Labs. Get back to doing what you love with this incredible portable device designed to get you back in the game. Kinneon is on a mission to move people from pain to possible with their top-rated red light therapy and laser solution, which tackles inflammation along with muscle and joint pain quickly and effectively. What I love is that it's portable and rechargeable, making it easy to actually incorporate into my everyday life consistently. It's small and lightweight, so you can throw it in your gym bag or work bag, or even an overnighter. Kinneon's lasers and LED combo make this cutting-edge device extremely versatile for use with general aches and pains, as well as chronic back pain, arthritis, post-surgery recovery, endometriosis, and more. This has been an amazing tool keeping my elbows and knees pain-free for pressing, pulling, and squatting in the gym. Great tools like the Move Plus give me the freedom and flexibility to continue living life on my terms without limitations. There are a lot of reasons why over 15,000 people are using this device and rating it 4.7 stars and above. Head on over to kinneon.io and use code ALLSMITH at checkout to begin your pain-free journey.
My overseas experience was kind of interesting. Like I said, that first year out of college, I didn't get a gig. I ended up signing with my agent was I forget his name, Jaron something. But I had the same agent as like Ricky Rubio, Iman Shumpert, and DeMarcus Cousins. So I'm like, oh, I got a big agent. I'm about to do all this. He said he's gonna give me, workouts with Lakers, Clippers, all these other teams. Didn't get not one workout with the NBA team, this and that. So what I realized, later down the line is, I signed with a big name agent who repped all these big guys, but you're just a small fish to him. You know what I'm saying? He didn't really take any time to like help me out. He was focused on his big guys, his big money making guys. So my first gig, I think I was actually living in San Diego at the time. I was dating a girl out there, and I was just working out, trying to stay in shape, playing like the 24s, getting some runs in. I was wearing some Kevin Durant's at the time. There were some low tops. I had rolled my ankle pretty bad. Like I was on crutches. I could not walk. Like I've never rolled an ankle to where my shit swelled up, and I was, like I said, I was on crutches and everything. And I think I didn't touch a ball for a month, and I got a call from Mexico, from the Ciba Copa. They're like, oh yeah, we saw your tape. Like, are you ready to come out here like in a couple of days? And in my head, I'm like, no, I'm not ready. But it's like, yo, this is an opportunity. Like, I gotta go. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. Like, yeah, I'll be there. Like, get the flight. A couple of days later, I fly out there, and in the Ciba Copa, it's play 4 games a week. So you play Monday, Tuesday, and you play Thursday, Friday. Like you said, no trainer, no nothing. Yeah. So I'm there literally on one foot. I think I'm there for a month. So I have a couple games. I have a couple 20-point games, but I'm like, not myself. Like, they're like, we thought you were better. I'm like, and then after the games, I'm like going to the OXXO. It's like their 7-Eleven. I'm icing myself. I'm like doing this and that. And I'm just totally in bad shape. I played against my boy, So Far One, formerly known as Reeves Nelson. He was out there with me. I
remember Reeves from UCLA.
Yeah. And so I made it there a month. And then I got cut again, but this time I knew it was coming, bro. Like, I was like, you want me to average 30? I'm averaging like 15, literally on one leg. Like, So I get cut, come back home, and then I end up getting a gig in the Middle East. I go to Oman. It's a country near Dubai, Saudi, and everything. End up going there, and it's a little bit better situation. End up winning the championship there in the Omani League. Went to Kuwait, played in the GCC Cup over there, and then had a good year, won the championship. And then the following year played in Germany, close next to you in Sweden, and then had a good year over there, and then played a couple years over there. But just you get a different experience over the world, because I didn't play in like the top leagues. I didn't play in like the BBL and stuff in Germany. I played in the third division over there. But it's like you get a sense of dudes in the world can really hoop, like in Germany and Sweden. Like we're not the only ones that are good basketball players. Like, whether you're in your 3rd league, 4th league, 5th league, like there's hoopers out there. It really puts the game of basketball in their perspective.
Totally, man. It was a fun situation over there, though, as far as playing, because it was just like, dude, the guys would be like smoking cigarettes, and then they just like take the court. Like I had guys on my team that were like Greek, and they were like 7'4", 300 something pounds, and like they were getting up and just like dunking on people, and I'm just
not even stretching,
not stretching, smoking cigarettes. They've got like 4 kids that are there to watch them. They eat like chicken nuggets every day, smoke cigarettes, and then they drink beer before and after. During the game, they drink like bubbly water. I always drank like regular water. And it was such a different experience, man. And I learned so much. It was super cool. You get a different context and a new appreciation because you're like, you know what? Basketball brought me here. Like, I'm so thankful, looking up to the Lord upstairs, like appreciative of all the different opportunities the doors that unlocked via basketball. But I definitely found my peace with the sport and was like, you know what? I'm craving a home now. I don't know if I'm just an old man. I don't want to be in a hotel every night. But like, I don't know, I craved a home. I didn't want the uncertainty and the fear and the constant just like, go produce or you're going to get sent home. Go produce, you're going to get sent home. Like, that's why I have so much admiration for these NBA guys that have 15, 20-year careers because it's not easy out there, man.
No, it's not. And then to your point too, like basketball not only takes you places, but it's like, I tell kids all the time, like I go and talk to like, kids at the Boys and Girls Club and kids at my former high school, like basketball, it could be what you want it to be, but it's like all the accolades and everything, that's nice to get MVPs and trophies in this. But the most important thing from basketball that I take away, 34 years in life now, being away from the game, is the relationships that we've built through playing sports. Like, my relationship with you, my relationship with Drew, Larry, like we're brothers for life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
totally.
Basketball has built relationships, built bonds, built family members, that you wouldn't have never experienced, outside of playing sport.
Yeah, it's very well said. For me too, it also unlocked a healthy relationship with failure and like multiple facets to that, to, getting dunked on by some of these guys, to dunking on people, to making shots over people and talking shit back, to getting crossed up by somebody, to feeling uncomfortable in the locker room, like dancing. And then all of a sudden you find your flow and you're like dancing. You don't actually give a fuck what people think. Like you just start to unlock levels of confidence and it just becomes so playful. And then you're jawing back and forth with each other. And now there's just like dopeness based on like the development of becoming a human and an adult, as opposed to like, dude, I don't remember half the games that we played. I remember like trying my best. I remember vibing with the guys. I remember some of the wins, some of the cool things. But for the most part, it's like I remember the trust and the energy that I felt with certain people. And that's the coolest thing, man. But where I want to take the conversation next is like, how did your identity evolve when you're like, oh, basketball is done? What's this next facet of my life? Because so many people, I work with a lot of special forces guys down here. I've worked with a lot of professional athletes. Like when their career ends, it's like, how do I figure out the transferable skills as to being a civilian? And they're there, but sometimes it's hard to unlock or unmask those talents.
That's a great question. I actually just got asked this recently. And the answer is, I mean, we all know, when you play a sport that it's going to come to an end at some point. Your ball's going to stop bouncing, as we say in basketball, at some point. To everyone, to LeBron, to Kobe, to Bryce, to Lorne. But when that time comes, it's like that. Today
you're not ready for it.
Today you're playing and everything's good. Tomorrow you don't have a job no more. And then it's like, damn. So I remember after my last season playing overseas, I didn't, a little bit different from you, I didn't end my career on my terms. I ended up firing my agent, who was a fucking a piece of shit, at the time, this German cat. And I remember a couple of my other teammates, they would fire him and he would just talk shit to me about them. And like, oh, I'm gonna make it hard for this and that. They'll never get a job. Da-da-da. So I ended up firing him. And then dude ended up bad mouthing me all around the world. Like I remember trying to get a job in Mexico after that. And then, oh, you're uncoachable. You're a bad teammate. You're an alcoholic. I'm like, I'm an alcoholic. Like, who told you this? I know where it came from. So I ended up not getting a job after, but I remember, I'm in San Diego at the time and I'm working out every day. Like I'm in the gym every day, just hoping to get a job. And then, 1 year passes and it's like, damn, I don't got a job. Fuck. Okay. I'm still hopeful. Like, and I have no money coming in. And then it's like 2 years passes and I'm like, fuck, like, okay. And what I'm going to do now? And then 3 years passes and I'm still trying to play and I'm not really like doing it. I'm still stuck on the hoop dream. I end up getting a job in Canada in the NBL 3 years after not playing. I fly to Chicago. I go to a tryout and I do the best in the tryout. Like everyone's like, yo, where are you from? Oh, you came all the way out here from LA? I'm like, yeah, like, da-da-da. And I'm expecting a call that next week. Don't get a call. end up getting a call just randomly out the blue. I think 2.5, 3 months later, from the owner of the team. Oh, we're sorry we wanted you. We ended up going somewhere else, but we actually want you now. We want you to come out. Can you come out like in a couple of days? So I ended up going to Canada. And this is, I'm not playing anymore. I'm like, oh, this is my last shot. Like I could pick my career back up. And the deal was for me to go practice with the team for 2 weeks, get my meals paid for or whatever. And then they put me up. They put me in it was like a hostel, bro. It was a shitty living situation. So I'm there practicing with the team for 2 weeks. The team likes me, this and that. And then the management comes back and they're like, okay, yeah, I meet with the owner. And 2 weeks is up. Like the team likes me. Like I'm ready to play. Can I get in the game? And they're like, actually, stay here. We're actually going on a road trip for the next 10 days. Stay here by yourself and then wait for us. And when we get back, we'll get you to play. And I'm like, at this point, my meals aren't taken care of. My living situation, like I'm in like a Salvation Army home with like 20 people on the floor. Everyone shares a common bathroom. I'm like, yo, this is not the business. And it's freezing cold. I'm like, you know what? I'm ready. Just fly me home. Dudes don't even fly me home. I fly myself home. And like, that was my last shot. But, it took a lot of time, and then it was done after that. It took a lot of time to like find my identity out of basketball because, I only knew myself as Lorne Jackson, the basketball player. I didn't know what I was good at, what I was bad at. I just knew I could hoop, you know what I'm saying? I had a good network of friends, through sport and everything. But then again, once my career ended, I didn't know it ended at the time. I thought I was going to still play. Then I fell into something to where, I wasn't myself. And now looking back, I fell into another state of depression, but this was a very deep state of depression. Like, not that I was like, suicidal or anything, but I just lost my relationship at the time. I lost my career, wasn't working, wasn't making money, came back from living overseas, living on my own, having my own apartment to living at my dad's house, at my parents' house, living at my parents' house again, almost creeping up on 30 years old. And, it was really hard. It was really hard. But I'm a man of God. I have a very strong support system. My family is incredible for looking out for me, taking care of me. So just dealing with that, I started coaching for a little bit. I coached at Harvard Westlake for a couple of years, and that wasn't having.
Did you coach with David Rabibo?
Yeah, I was with Coach Rabibo. Having awesome. A passion for the game and knowing that I could still be playing, like a lot of guys still playing overseas, and I'm still like in shape, knowing that I still could be playing. I'm coaching at a high school and a JV team. I just going to practice every day, and you're not the one in practice. It's just a different perspective. And I didn't have a love for coaching. I didn't enjoy it. I just needed to make money. So, Coach Rabibo looked out, and I was in a good situation there. Coached there for 3 years, and then COVID hit. So now it's like, damn, now you got to start all over again. And so, yeah, it was just a total mind fuck. But, I was never one to, just get a job and just work a job and just, work in the office and this
You're
and that.
pursuing what lights your heart on fire, which I love. And this is funny to think about. But when I came back from Europe and I was working at Cal State Northridge, the head strength coach at the time was Jeff Krelling. And he's actually the head strength coach now at Harvard Westlake. He works with David Rabibo, which is kind of cool. Like just how small the circle is.
Man.
But something that we talked loosely about offline is that everybody's either in adversity, just left adversity, or they're approaching it, which is why I love the tagline and the slogan, forged, not found. We're actually all Smiths. We're underneath an anvil, forging ourselves underneath extreme heat, adversity, and miscellaneous stresses that are just going to arrive on our plate, like COVID, like the experience you had in Canada. How did you kind of develop the mentality to not give up? To not find yourself addicted to drugs and alcohol, but basically be like, you know what? Like I had my moments. I had my altered states of consciousness. I threw my middle finger to the world, but now I'm going to create an agency to put on events like we discussed loosely before, to provide some financial advising for people that maybe don't know, they have all this money, but they don't know where to put it. They don't know what to do. They don't have time. And you're providing these resources now. And it's not just resources based on like you being like, hey, I'm the expert. It's, hey, we have a trust in a relationship. You're not going to find that. You might find an expert, but they don't have the same trust and history that we have of years and years of depth of connection. And I'm not sitting here sugarcoating it to try to get you to sign a contract and give me just dollars and cents. Like we've got deep, meaningful trust on a human level that I want to be here to help support you. Because if I can't support you, I can't support me. So there's incentive for both of us to get into this work together.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, it definitely took some time, and I didn't want to just fall prey to doing something just to do something. I was raised around a group of men that never had to call anyone a boss. Everyone was just a hustler, like the right way on their entrepreneur stuff. So I wanted to do something that I was passionate about, something that I loved, and it took some time to like realize what I'm good at outside of basketball, and and one thing that I do love to do is help people. So what can I do to help people? And I ended up moving in with some of my guys I live with now, and they were some house DJs, and at the time I didn't really listen to house music. And so they made me fall in love with it. And I started manage. They asked me one day, they're like, "Yo, would you want to be our manager?" I'm like, "Shit, I could try." Like, I don't know what fucking being an artist manager is. So I ended up doing that, and got them booked for their first festival. Fell in love with house music, and then just I would always be out on the scene, and someone would come into town. They'd be like, "Oh, LoJack, like I'm coming to LA. I need this, and that," and I would just do it just to do it. But it's like I can monetize off this. Like other people are doing it. Like why can't I? And so I ended up starting LoJack Productions, just my events company. And a step further, I started my own music label and a collective called the Chocolate House, and just doing things that I'm good at. Helping people, connect. I love connecting dots. Whether you give me something or not. If you're my people, I don't need nothing from you. I love to just help people and just be of service to people. And then I'm sitting there one day. I'm talking to one of my boys, CJ, and we always were just bouncing ideas off of one another. He was like a Grammy Award winning artist and stuff like that. We always bounce ideas off each other of like how to make more money. He's like a new parent at the time and everything, and so he brought up the opportunity to talk with his mentor one day. And so I got on the call. I'm like, I'm looking for something to do at the time. Like I'm really looking for like not just a job, like I said, but I'm looking for a career, something that I could do for the rest of my life, and then I'll have the freedom, financial freedom to do things on the side that I want to do. And so the opportunity came to be a financial advisor through like life insurance and retirement stuff like that. And these were two black guys talking to me, and I didn't know about the importance of financial literacy and stuff like that. So I sat back and I was like, if I don't know this, I can really be of service to my group of friends, my network, because we're always talking about shit that doesn't matter. We're talking about, oh, what are we doing this weekend? Oh, what about this girl? This girl, like we're talking about shit on a daily, weekly basis that's not important. That's not going to advance our lives. So I was like, okay, I could be of service to my friends and help them with their finances. And to take it a step further, my community being I'm being African American, I could be of service to my people, because a lot of times, most times, we don't know what to do with our finances. We aren't financially literate. So that's what motivated me, and yeah, I mean I've been doing it for about a year and a half now. I've been very successful. Actually, got Rookie of the Year in the entire nation in
Congrats,
my
man.
company. But yeah, just being a service to people, man. I'm really passionate about what I'm doing. I'm living on my terms, which is most important. And it,
Yeah.
it took me being depressed and feeling worthless to myself to like really. I started seeking out God. But then also to your point too. I think you said when it comes to not giving up, a lot of people don't know that I'm a twin. My twin brother Langston, shout out to you. He was me, but just in a football body. He was a running back, all state, played at Cal. But he had an issue with drugs coming up. And so actually my senior year, I don't know if you know this, my senior year in college, he left Cal, he started going to Moorpark College. So he was, the guy, and then now he's back in community college, living in Simi Valley at my mom's house, and has a drug problem. So he was actually addicted to heroin. We didn't know that he was addicted to heroin, right? He knew he had a problem, so he ended up going to rehab. Luckily, he was in rehab. I'm a firm believer of everything in life happens for a reason, right?
Absolutely.
He went to rehab in Hollywood. In rehab, his roommate was a heroin addict, and I guess in rehab you're not supposed to be roomed with someone who has the same addiction as you. They ended
Mm.
up getting heroin into the rehab facility. It wasn't heroin. My brother shot it up first, passed out immediately. Roommate got scared, went to his room, left my brother there unconscious, not breathing for 8 hours. 8 hours later, they
Mm.
found him. My brother had to be rushed to the hospital, the ICU. Luckily, like I said, his rehab was in Hollywood. So he went to Cedar Sinai, which is, arguably one of the best hospitals in the world. Um, So my brother was in a coma for 46 days. Doctors told us to pull the plugs.
Oh my
He's going
gosh,
to be
that's
a
a
vegetable
long
for the rest
time,
of his
dude.
life. And, and from their professional opinion, they recommend that we pull the plugs. My family doesn't play that. We don't give up on anybody. So, 46 days later, my brother opened his eyes. Fast forward, he had to learn how to walk again, talk again. Graduated from Cal State Northridge a couple years ago. Is married now. So my brother was a huge strength in me overcoming adversity, not giving up, because he didn't give up on himself. We didn't give up on him, and yeah, I mean, that was just a powerful time in my life. As I'm trying to graduate college, my senior year, and just going through that, and then making it through that. A lot of people don't make it through that. Unfortunately, it was like 1 in a couple million chance.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I mean, from
That's
from
such an
then on, it's like,
inspiration. I really
yeah,
appreciate you sharing, because one of my favorite things, man, is not just a rags to riches success story of an underdog, but it's also like, I like a success story, and then all of a sudden somebody fucks their life up in the midst of success, right? You would perceive like a guy playing Division I college football, like your brother, that's a success story. Like got out of the inner city of LA, got out of the valley to go play at one of the biggest Pac-12 schools at the time, and it didn't work out, and unfortunately spiraled down. But it's the intrinsic motivation to know that when you spiral down, you can also spiral up.
yeah.
And I think keeping that intrinsic level of optimism, knowing that there's light at the end of the tunnel, especially for you guys as a family, because that's not an easy decision. I mean, 48 days is not a short amount of time, which teaches you so much in real time of the concept of delayed gratification. And modern day, these kids with social media and wanting all the likes and all the views and the money to land in their Venmo account real quick, like short-term gratification, especially with OnlyFans and some of these other things, is what a lot of people are tinkering with now. And Lorne, it's so cool to see you vibing and thriving and taking all the skills from your amazing basketball career and finding transferability into this next facet of life. Like, I've always been rooting for you. I keep you and our tribe of friends in my prayers, and it's really awesome to see your face. It's awesome to hear your passion behind your voice, not just with what you're doing on the creative side of things with LoJack Productions and the Chocolate House, but also like with the financial side of things, because entrepreneurship is dope because everybody gets to see the cool shit and the creativity and all the like fun stuff of the events and the merch and all the fun media things. But behind the scenes, man, if you don't have your finances taken care of, you don't have your ducks in a row,
Yeah.
that stuff can end very quick. And so it's been awesome chopping it up with you today. I cannot wait to see you hopefully this weekend.
Man.
And where can people find you, man? Where can people find more about you and connect with you and your team?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. Is that LoJack? That LoJack. My label. Please follow my label more than my personal. I much appreciate that. We're on Instagram. Official Chocolate House. That's Official Chocolate House. And yeah, and then LoJack Productions is also my company. And then you can find me on LinkedIn, Lorne Jackson, Lorne Jackson. If you guys ever need any help on some financial situations, please feel free to reach out. And I'm here to help.
I love it, man. LA City basketball for life, homie.
Hey man. You know what I'm saying?
Let's get it, man. I appreciate you so much. For those of you watching on YouTube or observing on Spotify or Apple, please rate, review, subscribe, and share with your friends. And as always, stay on the hunt for who you have not yet become. Until next time. Thanks, Lorne.